So the next step after adding and subtracting is learning how to multiply and divide directed numbers. Multiplying and dividing, they're like brother and sister, separate little processes, but in many ways very, very similar to adding and subtracting, and quite easy to remember. So here's what I call a ready reckoner. I've got a multiplication sign at the top, and then if I look at the positive sign here and the positive sign here, where they actually meet, that will tell me the result of combining a positive term with a positive term when I multiply them. So essentially a positive times a positive gives me a positive. A negative times a negative also gives me a positive. Again, look along the row and look down the column where they meet. That's the answer to this sign combined with this sign when I am multiplying. So a negative times a negative is a positive. Also, a positive times a negative gives a negative. And similarly, a negative times a positive also gives a negative. Now we've got a simple way of summarising this, if you don't like the ready reckoner, and that's positive times positive gives a positive. Positive times a negative gives a negative. A negative times a positive gives a negative. And a negative times a negative gives a positive. Now luckily, dividing, the pattern is exactly the same. If I divide a positive number by a positive number, I get a positive number. If I divide a negative number by a negative number, I also get a positive number. If I divide a positive number by a negative number, I get a negative number. And if I divide a negative number by a positive number, I also get a negative number. Simple summary again, identical to multiplying. Positive number divided by a positive number is a positive number. Positive number divided by a negative number is a negative number. Negative divided by positive is negative. And to complete the pattern, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So, just some simple examples. Again, with this one, I've put a bracket round the positive 3 because this does help in this case. It stops the positive getting jumbled up with the multiplication sign. But essentially, I've got two positive numbers, and of course, 2 3s are 6. We knew that. Now, 4 lots of negative 2 is a positive number times a negative number. Positive times negative is negative. 4 times 2 is 8. The answer's got to be negative 8. So the way that I recommend is that you look at the signs first, deal with the signs, and then just deal with the numerical quantities afterwards. So there we've got a negative number times a positive number. Negative times positive, and negative times positive gives me negative. Then 5 times 3 is 15. So negative 5 times positive 3 must equal negative 15. Likewise, negative 4 times negative 3, deal with the signs first. Negative times a negative must give me a positive. 4 3s are 12. The answer has to be positive 12. I don't have to put the plus in front of the 12 because you know and I know that means positive 12. 8 divided by 2 is 8 divided by positive 2. Well, it's positive 8 divided by positive 2. They're both positives, written in slightly different ways, but the answer clearly has to be 4. 10 divided by negative 2, well that's a positive divided by a negative, the answer has to be a negative. 10 divided by 2 is 5, negative 5. Negative 8 divided by positive 4, well a negative divided by a positive is a negative. 8 divided by 4 is 2, the answer has to be negative 2. And to finish off with, negative 6 divided by negative 3, negative divided by a negative has to be positive. 6 divided by 3 is 2, the answer has to be 2. Notice I've put the brackets in. They don't have to be there, it's just to be helpful. Sometimes you'll see them, sometimes you won't see them.